In today's market, it is not uncommon to see made in China or made in Vietnam or made in Indonesia right on the back or on the tag of your clothing or any item that you're purchasing. Today we're talking about pianos, a very precise instrument that has lots of working parts, over 10,000 of them. And we're talking about specifically pianos that are made in Indonesia. Are they worth it?
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in beautiful downtown San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We appreciate your support. We love to interact with you.
I'd say beautiful downtown San Antonio, and the fact is there's all this construction going on in front of the store, and there's a 32-story building going up across the street, and it's like, it's beautiful. Well, not right here at the moment.
Not right here, right now. But talking about beautiful Indonesia.
Where is it?
It's somewhere on the map.
It's somewhere on a globe.
We wish we had a globe here today so we could like spin it around and actually put our finger on Indonesia. But
there is a place, it says Indonesia.
I know.
And there's a place right over here, it says Malaysia. Right next to it is kind of like, well, I'm sure it's farther than it looks on the globe.
So we're talking production. We're talking reputable companies, Kawai, Yamaha, specifically because we see a lot of that in our market. They have, for many years were manufactured right out of Japan, all the way from their lowest quality to the highest quality instruments that they manufactured were coming out of their Japanese factories and being shipped, globally. At a certain point, they started going global, and for a small second of time, I would say 10 to 15 years. I think Yamaha's a little bit longer, but they actually manufactured here in the U.S. Yamaha had a factory in Georgia, Kawai had a factory in North Carolina, and there were, and for a minute there, it was cheaper to manufacture or to assemble in the place where the instrument was going to be located because freight was the big expense. And putting assembly was something that they could pay labor for. But here we are today, and in the early 2000s, late 90s, the formula didn't make sense for manufacturing from their perspective, and they started looking elsewhere to assemble their high quantity, lower quality instruments. And so it's hard to say lower quality when you're talking about these these Japanese companies that all their focus a lot of the times is on the quality of their instruments that they make. Right. But the reality of the situation is they're going to have lower price instruments and higher price instruments and all that are in between. And most companies are going to sell more of their lower entry line products. And so Yamaha and Kawai, both very similarly looked at factories in Indonesia, and Yamaha also had one in China. And so talk about, your experience there. At a certain point, there was a lot of pianos being made in Korea as well.
Right.
And so, there is, I would say, a hierarchy of manufacturing, and what does it mean about the piano where it's manufactured, and the premise of this video, are Indonesian pianos worth it? Because both entry line Yamaha and Kawai are made out of Indonesia at this point.
I would say that the Indonesian piano lines are worth it in terms of as long as the work ethic is there to maintain the integrity of the manufacturing process. And by that, I always refer to the differences between, since we're talking pianos, what's the difference between the New York Steinway and a Hamburg Steinway? And every review I've read boils down to this: work ethic. So if you're taking the work ethic that was once in Japan, which is the pride and joy of their manufacturing, whether it's Kawai or Yamaha or any of their other companies that build and manufacture, design, engineer out of Japan. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's important for us to realize is that, one, we're in the United States, and we're catering to like the best sales market in the world is the United States. And so it doesn't mean that only all the best stuff comes here. It means that we're just a portion of where they sell their instruments at. And on a worldwide market, it's hard sometimes sitting here in the United States as a retailer, reseller, saying, why do they make this stuff in Indonesia when it doesn't really compare with some of the other things that are on the market? It's because in the world, there's a big large demographic of people that can afford only the stuff that's being made out of Indonesia. And that's a market that may not always apply here in the US or in parts of Europe and in other parts of Asia. So it's interesting that they would take the concept of let's build a whole new factory someplace else where the labor force will cost us a fraction of what it's costing us over here. And with training, we can get these products out into the world, into the market, because there are a lot of people in China that would love to have a Kawai piano, regardless of where it's made. Not that there's anything wrong with pianos being built in China. It's just that some people here in the US want a German-made or an Austrian-made piano or a Japanese-made piano, and it's no different anywhere else in the world. It is hard to sometimes, if you took any manufacturers, in this case we're talking Kawais and Yamahas for Indonesian, if you take those manufacturers and you put their complete product line in front of you, you're going to see a lot of duplication, particularly with some of the things that are coming out of their Indonesian factories, Indonesian digital factories and Indonesian acoustic factories. And those are usually going to be the more entry line, affordable type of things that the product line or the manufacturer is going to make.
Yeah, and I would still say here in the US, those are probably outsell the Japanese product 2 or 3 to 1.
There's a reason for it, and it's mostly price.
Yeah.
And it's price is what we see on a day-to-day level when families come in and they're looking at pianos. They find this one they like, they don't like the price. And they have to go look for something else that they like where they like the price.
And I think the manufacturers are put in an interesting position because they stand behind their product. They say, this is a great instrument. We cover it with our 10-year warranty and the acoustic side of things. It's really an amazing instrument at the price point, but they try not to contradict themselves by saying, but this is a better product in their higher end factories.
Absolutely. They have to be very careful of not stepping on their own toes when it comes to quantifying and qualifying their product. There's a market for everyone, for everything and for everyone. And on the Indonesian pianos, when later on we're going to start comparing one to the other, it does get to where within a company you wonder why these guys are making this thing when they already make something else that's even better, and is it really that much savings
and
involved?
I think it's interesting that a lot of people, the very first thing that people in their minds visualize as their differentiator in the product they're going to be selecting is price. They go in with a budget, they go in with, I'm going to spend this much a month on financing, or I'm going to spend this much on the instrument. And they go in that mindset. Maybe the second tier is, well, I want it to also look this way. And so they have, I want it to be this color, I want it to be this size, I want it to, be a grand, I want it to be an upright, I want it to be a digital, I want it to be able to do these things. But there is a tier that what gets uncovered eventually, and a lot of people, sometimes it doesn't matter, it's off their radar. But when making this choice is, okay, I like this one, I like this one, what are the differences? One of the big differentiators is where it's made.
Right.
Whether that's spoken about or not, you can see the difference, hear the difference, feel the difference, and it's that's just one of those things that gets uncovered. And so it doesn't matter where it's worth it. I would say it's another thing on a long list of differentiators between products, and I think it's interesting that Yamaha does it one way and Kawai does it the other way. When you think about a Yamaha B3 and a Yamaha U1.
Right.
Same scale design, same height, and
2 different manufacturing facilities.
Very different pianos.
2 different instruments.
And so, you're getting a 48-inch studio Yamaha, but very different takes on that. You look at Kawai. Kawai does it differently. They go to the K200, and then when you move up to the K300, that's where the manufacturing shifts, and it's a bigger piano, but it's also, in their more premium factory. And so they don't compete with themselves on that size comparison. So it doesn't look, when you're to the naked eye, these two look exactly the same.
Right.
So it's just, different philosophies behind.
The other thing I wanted to mention that is hard for maybe just me, but I think for a lot of U.S. retailers and anyone that's reselling a piano is like, there is no price point that these worldwide manufacturers like Yamaha and Kawai are going to ignore. If there's a certain product that they can get for $600 and under, $1,000 and under, $1,500 and under, they're going to make that product for that market because there's enough buyers out there to substantiate setting up assembly line for it. And you kind of see that more so in the digital lines, and I know we're mostly talking about acoustics, but in the world of acoustics, they generate where they see, like in the case of Yamaha with the B series pianos, only one I really thought they should have made there was the B2. That was the better of all the three because it was right dead in the middle. It wasn't an entry line Indonesian piano and it wasn't a top of the line Indonesian. It was just what they needed to fill orders was this 45-inch upright standard black piano, maybe come in white. But they made 2 other models to go with it, which starts complicating the buying process if you're a retailer. Like, so when do I get? Well, maybe I just get the Japanese one because you ask any piano tuner, would you rather tune a piano made in, Japan or tune one in Indonesia?
Or Korean.
That was made in or Korean.
Or Chinese, yeah.
And, after the Japanese had such great success with pianos through the 50s, the 60s, and going into the 70s, by that time, Koreans were manufacturing pianos in very much the same way that the Japanese had been manufacturing pianos. And the upside to the Korean manufacturing process is, well, after the war, they had access to like a lot of funds and to get their company reinvigorated into manufacturing and building things. And they also had companies like Yongchang that were kind of stepping out and building facilities in other spots. So it really helped. Korean-made pianos are still high quality.
Yeah, Samick and Yongchang were incredible quality, and still today, Samick continues to make a great quality instrument. You see a lot of the those stencil branded named pianos out there. So and to sum up kind of our point is are they worth it? Are Indonesian pianos worth it? I believe the answer has to be yes, because it is a different.
They're building it and making them.
They're building them. They're making it. It is a quality instrument from a reputable manufacturer. It is not equivalent to some of their higher end pianos, and I think with pricing and when you sit down and play the two side by side, you quickly see one is a better instrument, but that's not saying that one is a bad instrument.
Right. I do personally feel though, with all of the different Indonesian pianos I've seen come from Yamaha, and then the ones that we have coming from Kawai, I do feel that the standard of reviewing their quality inspection and merchandise inspection at the dock before it actually goes out for resale is really followed up on and is really tightly managed at Kawai. Because for the most part, their pianos, I'm not going to say they're indistinguishable from the Japanese-made ones, but they are a lot better than most of the other Indonesian pianos.
And it's to note, too, the entry-line Grands for both Yamaha and Kawai are also not made in their Japanese factory. So the GB1K and the GL10s are not made in the Japanese
those
factory.
Are their top-selling instruments.
Yeah, and a lot of times people are like, I want a quality instrument at a good price point, and very happy. They get their 10-year warranty, really a great instrument, and nothing really sacrificed. It's just the lower field of some of the Japanese manufactured instruments. So don't be afraid about where your piano's made. I think it's really important to know that you're getting a quality instrument from a manufacturer that stands behind their product. And then it's also important to put your hands on and feel the instrument and play it. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think about, hey, I bought an Indonesian piano, I didn't like it, or hey, I got one, it's lasted me 20 years. There are some fantastic instruments out there. Leave us some comments, let us know, let's start a discussion on, are they worth it to you, the players out there, the buyers out there? What do you guys think? Let us know. It's Ted Barstow, I'm Patrick Marr, here in San Antonio, Texas, at Alamo Music. Check us out online at alamomusic.com. Thank you guys for watching.